At this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 4:01 PM. This is the Housing and Finance Committee. And being on February 1st, 2022, we are recording this meeting. And it will be live on Channel 9 as well as posted on the YouTube later on. At this point, roll call vote for members that are here.
Carolyn Bezikas.
Cassie, Jean is there.
Andrea Wood.
Thank you. Yeah, you're coming through my speaker on my
So
computer.
you need to go to your Zoom session and select the owl speakers, whatever they call
Okay,
He's,
thank you.
they all staring at me.
them. He's looking at me too. Well, the only camera goes to where the voice is.
Oh,
So
right.
quiet. It won't stare.
It doesn't yet.
This is Christmas. Thank God, man. Wait for it.
And we're doing roll call. Sam, you just came in.
Sam's here, Grant, whatever.
Sam Grant, thank you.
Hole in the wall.
Okay, gotta bear with me for just a sec. I gotta work on Zoom for Powell and get everybody coming over that.
Is that the
yeah,
2023 budget?
it's the wrong version. Are these the new versions?
Those are the new versions.
Okay, so we'll get that anymore.
Okay. I'm gonna assume we're in trouble already.
Well.
Okay,
Good, that's
Sam,
great.
could I ask you to just give me a little test? Could you say your name? I want to hear if it comes over the owl. With the change. Can you hear me?
Oh, Sam Grant here. Is that what you're talking to?
Yep, that's who I was talking to. Thank you.
You got me?
We got you, and you're on the owls. Thank you very much. Okay,
With the wrong one. Hey, oh, that's better.
okay,
All right.
we're good. Okay, at this point, I have one addition to the agenda. I was contacted yesterday by the assessors admin, and they're looking to take a future meeting date and time from us, which is March 1st. So as we talk about future meeting dates, I'll modify that specifically that we talk and see if we move our scheduled meeting to allow them to meet on the March 1st at 4 o'clock.
So quick question, moving forward, it's gonna be every Tuesday at 4?
Correct. Yes, that is the plan. That's what we have on the schedule in the schedule with DCAM through the end of March. And so we'll continue if we find that we're making good progress and there's a week or there's a week that we don't have.
Yeah.
We'll try a week in advance to postpone it so that there's enough time for everybody that a slot's open or
Sure.
everybody has.
Okay, it's a little early for me, but I believe I can still make it at 4.
Terrific. Thank you.
I'm coming from Westford.
John, one other thing for next week.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be a couple of reserve fund transfer requests. And
Okay.
if I had this in my calendar, I would have had it work for you today. But the MIS budget is severely depleted. And
Again, okay, yeah. So I'll get that. And we need, I think the whole committee needs to sign that, so we'll work on what the signature will be.
Yeah, I didn't
It's
see it
sort
on
of,
there.
it's, I was gonna say in the meeting business next, when we get to section 2. Andrea, if you had a chance to get to the finance committee mailbox to see if there's any correspondence for review?
No,
Okay. Okay, then into the meeting business, we talk about the finance committee assignments. At this point, we have Mark Hussey with us, and he'd like to join. So at this point, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Mark Hussey to the finance.
Second. Okay, any discussion? With no discussion being heard and a shake of a head no, we need a roll call vote.
Geraldine Bezikas, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. So, welcome, Mark.
Well, thank you. Thank you very
We
much.
appreciate your stepping forward with that.
I hope I can help you out, guys. Good.
At this point, I have not seen any minutes to review from prior meetings. And with that, that is all the meeting business we have. We'll have the reserve fund transfers in there for next meeting. And so we begin the work session with the town administrator, Ross, as workbooks for us, for those that are here. Yeah, it's the file that Ross shared the other day. I may be able to share
Pass it down.
on.
Well, I've got one for Sam and Andrea here as well. Oh, I'm sorry. What's in here is this budget, and that changes daily. So and I sent just a few minutes ago an email to Andrea and Sam with the new omnibus budget. In the upper left-hand corner, it should say 131.22A version. And I'll check that every time we have a discussion so that everybody's on the same script, so to speak.
Okay.
These still have a lot of preliminary numbers. Any place you see in the right-hand column that says RP estimate, that's just what it is. It's my guess. Some cases I didn't get a submission, I just level funded it just so we have something that we begin to track. Schools, they told us something in the area of 6+% assessment increase against a 3.06 overall budget increase. They haven't told us what. I think I put them in at closer to 7 as a placeholder. Tech schools said that our minimum contribution has gone up 91,000, but they didn't tell us what the overall number is, so that's still TBD. Health insurance, which is a big one, is still some estimates in there I put in. They initially had told us 8 to 10%. They announced at the MMA virtual conference that the maximum would be 7.5%, so that has come down a little bit, and we're going out to bid on those. None of these individual department budgets have been reviewed or sanitized by me as far as questioning why and wherefore and whatnot. I think that's all going to be coming forward as we move up each week. But what you see is the raw budgets. Each tab, anyone that submitted information, it's in there. And also in there is the capital, for those of you on the capital committee, the capital requests. Right now, so the worst case scenario, we're looking at a 6.1% overall budget increase. I think that is high, and I expect that to come down as we go. But it's a starting point. I'm not sure how you normally process, but I would assume you start going through this, and then you start asking questions where you see something you think is out of line. I sort of amused myself in the process, and then I met with Todd and I beat him up on this flag committee budget, and I had him cut it 25%, and we saved $500.
Yeah.
The big hitters will obviously be the school, insurance, police and fire departments. And I don't expect that we can get any of those to make a 25% cut,
I don't.
but I think we'll look at the big accounts and we'll look at the small accounts. Sanitize.
Yeah.
So that's an overview of what we've got. I think it's a lot of reading. I expect reading weekly, I'll probably be giving you new inserts as we get new numbers.
Okay, and do we have hard dates for when each of the department budgets
Yeah.
would be finalized?
AOS seniors.
I'm thinking at this point, we,
I don't think I do.
say, use the board, just the first part of the budget, the down, and we can do down through line 30, which is the finance committee. So the board of selectmen,
Yeah, I do.
blank.
Yeah, I think I just level funded the finance committee at line items 26 through
Yeah,
29.
right. And that's, I think that's fine for us. We have the dues that we usually pay. If we go to MMA and take courses, then there's these dues associated with that. And the other 40,000 is there. In my short time with the finance committee, we have dipped into that once for fire truck repair. So I think having that 40,000 is sufficient. I don't think we need to raise it at this point.
You asked when budgets need to be finalized. I would like to think late March, the latest,
Okay.
so that we've got a chance to wrap up the warrant and get, work towards getting it signed off and approved.
Yeah.
Had the finance committee, had we talked about a Saturday, all departments with you?
It was mentioned, and when we were going to get to future meetings, I thought now would be a good time or that would be a good time. We can jump ahead in that part of the agenda and discuss a date. We did talk about a Saturday in March, similar to last year, where the finance committee and the board of selectmen have the dual meeting, and each of the departments, if there's questions to be brought in, then we bring them in. And I thought, by trying to schedule it now, we have that better opportunity that we all have a target that we're shooting for. And I don't.
I think Saturday, the 5th of March.
Saturday is the 5th. So yeah, that would be the first Saturday.
What time we got to hold this?
I have the selectmen discuss a time. Does it make sense to start at, say, at 9, or is that?
That's fine. And do you set up appointments by departments, or how do you do that?
To be honest with you,
We did.
Yeah.
We did that.
Okay.
I think, were they half-hour increments? Do you remember?
God, was I involved in it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was probably half an hour. Yeah, we didn't take a lot of time.
half an hour for every department?
Well, no, like, well, you don't need it for, you know.
Flag committee. you don't-
Right,
no, we don't
right,
get
right.
that.
Just the big
Just the
boys.
big people.
It's kind of, so,
We also would usually when a department level fund, we don't call them any either.
Makes sense.
Like you don't need the gas department and the fence viewer, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That might have been an incentive, we told them that.
yeah.
Yeah, there you
Level
go.
fund, you
Level
get
fund,
your
yeah.
salary
Get
back.
you steady, yeah.
So will you send out a schedule? How do you,
If we do the half-hour increments, and we have a list of people we want to see, I think we send it out and let them, see what they have for time available. Does that make, I'm sorry, Andrea, is it the finance committee that
Sets the appointment.
sets the appointments and tells people when to show up and they just show up, or is it?
Yeah, we kind of negotiate a time for them to show up, but
Okay,
usually what we do is go over the budgets and do each one and develop questions. If we can't get answers to those questions or don't have an understanding of the answer we get to those questions, then we call them in. Now with Zoom, it's much easier, I would think, to call them in for an interview instead of having them to drag into town hall from God knows where.
okay, so as we progress, then we would have a better understanding of who and when.
I would suggest that a save the date notice be sent out.
Mhm.
You want to do that, or you want me to do that?
I can do it. It's kind of like I'm still not sure whether it's more appropriate to come from you or from me,
It's
or
however
do
you
we,
want to do it.
Excuse me, I've gotten lost here. Are we
Yeah.
talking about interviewing departments together with the selectmen, the FinCom, and the finance committee?
Or are we gonna interview and then and then we meet with the
I think
selectmen?
the process that I recall in the past is if we have questions, we bring them into our meeting. It had been the town administrator handling most of the questions because he had worked with the departments and prepared. So he brought the information, but when he didn't have clarity in our meetings, we would get the people on Zoom and come in and answer the questions. And then the combined with the selectmen is just a final, if there's anything after.
So that would be after we got our
After we-
questions answered and
after we
stuff.
have
Yeah.
the questions answered
Okay.
and get any adjustments to the budget, then we'll have the final.
So I think you've got between now and the 5th of March to
Get
ask
through.
your questions, and if
Yeah.
you don't get answers.
Yeah.
You have to have them come in on the 5th.
Mhm.
And doing a joint with the selectmen just saves them from coming in twice.
Right. Yeah.
So they need to be notified.
You're gonna, Don, you'll send out a save the date notice?
I'll
or-
send out a save the date notice. Does it? Yeah,
Just all the departments.
so, I think it's all I think it is all the departments as a save the date, and you'll be notified
If they need you.
if we need you. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna do the first,
Yeah, just to get us on a bit of a kickoff and a roll, see if it makes sense. And so the first budget on the top is the Board of Selectmen.
The biggest change here, and this is sort of reflecting a question that Andrea brought up in the special, is we've broken out
Mhm.
in the town administrator salary line item, we've broken out the amount to be done in the wage settlement.
Yep.
So there's a nice drop in the first line, but there's unfortunately a big increase a couple lines down.
Yeah, and again, the two combined would be looking at 22's budget, those two lines are pretty much combined.
There's also a new position in there, that's the webmaster.
Yeah, that was on
What number is that, Rose?
7.
line 7. So,
Okay.
and on the on line 3, there's no longevity for and again, I just wondered if is there any longevity that is paid for staff,
I don't
and we're
believe so.
because it's taken out.
How many hours is that webmaster?
Roughly 6 a week.
6 hours a week?
Yes. To get to that 661 or 6,000. So it, I believe the posting is 5 to 7 hours a week, not to exceed 6,000.
So we don't currently have one, am I correct?
We don't have it. It is posted on the
It's a new
website.
position.
So they've opted $180. Is that to attract someone or
I think that's just the 3% increase.
That's a percentage.
It's-
over? Okay.
Over, so it was budgeted for 6,000
Mhm.
this year, and so that's the amount budgeted that with the increase.
With the increase for somebody that we don't have yet.
Yeah.
Right, but
It's only $180, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have the temporary help line in there being reduced. Is that to help support the executive assistant position?
when she was out, and we were still paying some sick leave, but we were covering somebody.
Somebody to cover the hours for that position.
If you move down to line 12, that's the community outreach coordinator.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Position that's been posted. I listed it here.
Yeah.
But with 0 salary,
Mhm.
because we're anticipating taking that from ARPA funds.
Okay,
It will probably show up with some sort of a salary number
for the
2 or
24th.
3 years out. But it's being shown as a position, it's just
Yeah.
being.
No,
funded with ARPA.
What does ARPA stand for?
American.
Recovery.
Recovery.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now, okay. Yeah.
It superseded or replaced the COVID CARES Act.
Yeah,
And the town has $1.8 million that's been
Mhm.
awarded that we've been allocating out
Mhm.
very, very carefully, but
Yeah.
part of it was for these 2 positions, the
Mhm.
community outreach coordinator and the human resources consultant.
Okay.
And that consultant is a consultant position. Is it hourly or is it, how are we expecting that?
Contracted 40 hours a week, I think.
So together they're 50,000?
No.
No, we don't know what the,
Mm,
40 hours. I'm just
I
curious.
think it's in
Yeah.
the $60,000 to $70,000 range. Because it's full-time.
Right, but it is ARPA funded, so, okay.
Initially it is.
Initially,
Mhm.
correct.
And so is it
Excuse me.
yeah,
I'm just gonna say this because I feel nasty, but we have to track this very carefully because in 3 years out, they're liable to be tremendous changes, cost of living, who knows what. The matrix this year jumped from 2% to 3%. I don't know what it's gonna do over the next 3 years, but these positions that we're funding through ARPA funds, we must follow it really closely and set some money aside or do something for them because we may well not be able to afford them after the 3 years. If they ride through as non-funded, so to speak, non-funded by us, we're not going to have the money probably to put in after 3 years.
right.
yeah,
True.
agreed. I was thinking that is there a budget that projects 2 or 3 years into the future, or is there a 5-year? There is. Is it on the plan to create one so that we see impacts? This,
I'm sorry, I can't commit to anything.
okay,
like that.
that's fine. It's kind of,
I mean, if I had more cycles, I would absolutely do that.
Mhm. right,
I think
And then-
Andrea's bringing up a very valid point.
Absolutely.
right, yeah. It's,
That's the downside of getting something that's grant funded is when the grant goes away, you end up having to pick it up or
Mhm. Right.
lose the position. I think the hope is that the position will justify itself and people will find ways to fund it 3 years out,
mhm.
but that's always a concern.
Yeah.
Well, one of the problems with Townsend is that our main source of income is real estate taxes. And
Oh,
if
tell me
they
about it.
increased enough to afford these 3 positions, people would be rioting in the streets, one would think.
We're still working on that part, Andrea.
Oh,
Yeah, so, and then, okay, and I'm looking at grant administrator, is that,
That's what I was looking at.
Mm.
so another
14.
position,
What is that?
It's new.
What is that? Is that the grant writer?
I think they
It's a
write
grant.
grants, actually. Am I correct, Russ? They'll,
They,
and
So
There's
it's
administrator,
a grant for
there's
us.
a new person started a couple of weeks ago, working, I think, 15 hours a week. And he will help us get grants, he will help us manage and administer and report grants. And I've asked him also to quarterly give a tally so that everybody knows how much grant money the town actually is bringing in.
Mhm.
Because I think it's actually an impressive number, but no one sees it. So.
of what we're getting, will be coming in, yeah. Okay, yeah.
will the grant writer give us the downside on the grant?
Is it the matching grant? Something like that.
or it's a grant that gets us like this to get at a position, and then afterwards, the downside would be additional cost to the
Sure.
town that's gonna be picked up.
It's meant to be transparent,
Mhm.
but I think there's a lot of good news that's going on that people just don't see. But the first part will be to help departments get the grants.
So that they won't require so much money from the budget, right?
I would like to think so. I think
That's how I'm gonna look at it.
It
you
allows
know.
them to do things that they couldn't fund otherwise.
Mhm.
See, I agree and I disagree in the sense that grants are wonderful things. A lot of times if you have that project already scheduled to go forward and it helps to fund it. But a lot of times grants will commit you to things afterwards that you cannot afford.
Yeah, I understand.
I guess
That's what
I'm
I'm
looking
worried
at it
about
as a way
us
to
getting
a
into.
fire truck, or if they need some, that would be different, I think.
Well, yes, I mean, Andrea's, I can agree with Andrew, she's 100% right. I think that when we go into these, we do it with our eyes open, realizing it defrays the cost now, but it might add costs later.
One of the things chronically the town has done is not look at down the road. We dwell on the year we're going to fund and then don't worry about succeeding years. And I think it's high time, we just can't afford to do it anymore.
Afford to throw money away on.
Basically, the big change in this particular budget is the 24,800, right? That's what makes the big change here,
The grant administrator.
right? That's where your jump is.
I thought we'd done that in the past.
You've got little jumps here and there, but it's
Yeah, there's
It's basically
pluses
that
and
big one.
minuses.
That and the separation payment.
And I think it was actually in the check, I think it was in the land use budget.
which is, okay,
I'll put page on it, but it's line items
That's what-
217.
that's what I meant.
I think the grant is, yes, and that's why land use looks like it's down 11,799.
Because the grant administrator's in there for,
Because grant administrator was in there.
Yeah.
And we took it out.
And it was somewhere.
Oh, wait a minute, it says additional 5 hours, huh?
That's
The land use.
Administrator, oh, okay.
yeah, not the, yeah.
grant administrator was going to be working for the town administrator / selectman, so he would have been that budget.
Right,
And on with these functions, does it change the town bylaws at all with the duties defined for the town administrator or even the department, the
Accounted for this line.
organization that's defined?
you taking the position out? and putting-
Well, it's kind of like,
The job description was written as reporting to the selectman, to the town administrator.
okay, so,
And I think the town administrator is responsible for everything that reports to the select board.
mhm.
So
But maybe the only other questions I come in with is in a matter of things like office supplies and the other supplies. Knowing supply chain issues and inflation, I wonder where we are with the current budgets, to see if keeping them as close as they are together makes sense, or do we need to increase those lines to get closer to actual? That would be lines 15 and 16 on the office supplies and the other supplies.
Do they take into consideration anything like a gas tax for delivery, or is that something additional that Or is that kind of, I know that they do on food, there's a gas tax on food, like in a restaurant. They
A
actually-
gas tax,
Yeah.
okay.
So this is sort of be the same thing, but it's paper.
Mhm.
I was just wondering, have we?
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
I think everybody was given an opportunity to adjust their expenses based on what
Okay.
they thought the cost would be.
All
Mhm.
right,
If they, I would assume that maybe costs are going up, but maybe they're realizing they're not spending everything anyway, so
Okay.
Mhm.
level funding would probably is a compromise between
okay.
them.
Mhm.
You'll see some departments look like they just did a 3% increase across the board,
Mhm.
And that was it.
and
Okay, are there any, Andrea or Sam, any questions on the Board of Selectmen? section?
Yeah, I still haven't understood what this town outreach coordinator is. What is
The
it?
communi-
What are we reaching for?
the outreach coordinator,
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously it's theoretically a one-time only person because it's coming out of a one-time only funding from the feds.
well, actually, the ARPA funds for these two positions are spread over 5 years.
Which two,
Like, it's 100% for FY20.
right?
And 24, and then it goes.
I figured you're breaking up.
oh, that's probably me, sorry. I know.
Okay. But the ARPA fund is only temporary regardless, right?
I was just calling up the Community Services Coordinator. Right, yeah, the salary for a bit, and then the town is
For
gonna
2
need.
years, I think you said.
Well, I think it's 3 years.
Three, yeah,
This year,
2 years and then-
2 years full-time, and then
Yeah.
it goes to another year and a half.
Yeah, half, yeah, okay.
So in 2025, in the 2025 budget, we would be expecting
Full payment.
full payment from the town
Mhm.
operating budget. And position is posted on the town website. You can look at the descriptions and the definitions. The definition, position provides social services and assistance to towns and residents and their families and caregivers and coordinates ARPA-funded wellness services for town employees. And then there's about a dozen or more information.
And that's gonna be the same for the human resource consultant?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no volume.
Okay, any other questions with the Board of Selectmen budgets?
No.
Okay,
I
then, yeah.
I don't really have any questions, but I
Mhm.
have to read it, compare it, and think about it, and then I might have some questions.
I'll
Okay,
bring a book home.
that's,
I'll bring a book home again.
okay. Okay, is it okay to take these out of the building?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
I'm gonna drop one off.
Andrea, Jerry, Lynn is going to take your book and drop it off
Thank you.
to you. So you can get and look at it, and then we'll revisit, okay. I was gonna say the next little budget is the finance committee budget. Where we have two lines, we have the FinCom dues and memberships. I had sent an email to Ross to say, keep the budget funding the same in 2023 that we had in 2022. And so the dues and membership is sitting at $750, and then the FinCom reserve fund is here at the $40,000 level,
Right.
same amounts as we've had in 2021 and 2022.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The reserve fund is very, very low. In most towns, it's a great deal more. The reason we keep it so low is because most of the transfers done at the end of the year, we do by municipal transfers rather than reserve fund transfers. Increasing the reserve fund, if we did that and made more transfers from there, although there's defined reasons on what you can release it for and what you can't release it for, which is not true of a municipal transfer, you would end up with more free cash because we do municipal transfers. Instead, is one reason why we end up with less free cash at the end of the year.
So are you suggesting we increase it?
No, I think we should leave it the way it is because I think that I don't think we can afford to increase. I'm really quite worried about this budget, the affordability of it.
And that, yeah. And that will continue going.
But I just wanted you to know that it's up to there's some percentage of the total budget that the reserve fund can be. So if you look at other towns and find that they have a great deal more in the reserve fund, I thought you should know why we don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of, again, limited exposure to it, and it's always been the same, and I have seen the municipal transfers at the end of the year, so one type of transfer versus the other, really, I guess it makes no difference, but you're right, if we took that transfer, we'd have to, if we left the budget where it is and increased our reserve fund, we would have a much bigger deficit. We would just increase the increase and increase that 6.1% over budget, so, or over last year's budget. So,
And that 6.1 is still very, very preliminary.
Right.
It's not time to jump out windows
No,
yet.
no.
I was hoping so.
No for
Not at all.
push.
These windows aren't high enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're high enough to push.
Excuse me, I just thought of a question for Ross. The positions that we're funding with ARPA funds, what about their health insurance and stuff? Does that come from ARPA or do we pay for that?
We pay for that, and I put it in the health insurance line item. I factored them in already.
And how about unemployment and all the rest? We are responsible for all those benefits for those people?
For the ones that are benefited, like the grant administrator is unbenefited, but yes, we're responsible for benefits on, if they have more than 20 hours.
So the ARPA is only picking up the salary.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, do we want to continue going down the budget, or do we want to take time to review this on our own and come back with maybe more questions next week?
I think we should go ahead and review a little bit more.
Okay. Everybody else agree? We continue?
Yeah, we'll go for a while here,
Okay.
see how my stomach works.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm gonna break out at about 5:15 or so, so I
Okay.
can ready for my next meeting.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Mm,
Mhm.
The
We got,
next meeting in here, right?
Yes,
No, the new one, the new person coming in is 80, right?
that's what it looks like,
And
yeah.
the old person was 77,
And we don't have that person.
and we don't have that person yet anyway, right?
Anyway, so
This may help.
I put in the higher end of that range in case we end up going there. It's been actually very frustrating because we've been getting almost no responses to the town accountant ads, and certainly nobody with municipal experience. So we're sort of backing off a little bit and saying, if you're a good accountant, then maybe we can train you to fill in, but
Yeah.
we need to fill that. So if any of you know accountants, send them my way.
So we're most likely gonna spend 80 together anyways, I would assume.
The market is really tough
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah.
skilled employees.
Why didn't
I
we give
agree.
the one who was here 80?
Huh?
Why didn't we give the one here 80?
I don't answer questions.
That's fine.
Okay, so the salary would be there. We have the budget for the certification. It looks like certification and longevity combined
So
on the
if
top.
we go back one
Yeah.
step, wage support, is that like an assistant accountant or
What is that?
line 37?
Yeah.
Would that be the assistant town accountant?
Yes,
Assistant accountant.
they want to increase some hours there too, I think.
Step plus 1%. That's what, 8,300?
Mhm.
Do we have that person now?
Yes.
She is here, right?
Mhm.
Excuse me, is, when you give them the step is 2% increase?
Correct,
So altogether, it's a 3% increase.
correct.
Thank you.
And then the extra hours.
That person get benefits now? Doesn't look like it, huh?
No. Oh, they, last year, the union gave this fractional employee and a fractional employee in the treasurer's office, I think, holiday, an extra holiday. I didn't understand how it worked, how they could do that, but they did that because we had to give a transfer to the accountant to afford it.
So part-time employees get basically prorated holidays, so they would be getting a holiday allocated there someplace.
Mhm.
And that's that's factored in.
But at 10 hours, I believe they were actually fractional employees rather than, they got no benefits, I thought. I'm not certain. I'm sorry.
Hold on, that's a good question.
Okay. That's quite an increase.
Yeah, sure is.
Well,
It's probably warranted, I don't know,
I'm talking accounting.
Yeah,
Well, that's
37.
that's the extra hours.
I was gonna say,
She's almost doubled her hours?
if I do 3%, the step plus one,
Mhm.
it looks like that's an extra roughly $309. So that would come to, the salary is the 10,613. And then the extra hours would be the difference between that and the 18.
It's a double.
So
Yeah, so
roughly
it's
6,000 in extra hours.
It's $829 in extra hours. Going to, and if you, divided by 20 is next to 16 hours.
Is that needed now because we don't have a full-time accountant? So will that go
And
away,
there's
that
just-
need go away?
Does that, will that go away once we?
Probably not
No,
if
probably not.
we give it to her.
Once they start,
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of ARPA reporting that has to be done, which is, we're trying to see if actually the ARPA reporting can be covered by ARPA,
Mhm.
but there's added work for that.
right,
But again, that, when we get a full-time person, those extra hours won't be as needed, I guess.
But you do realize that the assistant accountant is not an accountant in any sense. She has specific jobs she does in the accountant's office, but she does not do quote unquote accounting.
I mean, everything I see, I'm just, flagging. It doesn't mean, it's just if we gotta start cutting, I gotta go to all the flags.
Well, the place, it's like me beating up the flag committee
Mhm.
for 25% and $500.
Yeah,
The big places we need to focus on are
police, school, fire.
mhm.
The school kills us every year. Every year they kill us. And I don't get it.
well,
I do and I don't.
I do.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
And then the rest of the expenses are being level funded.
Yeah.
there may be a bump when we see what the audit RFP generates. That's the
Okay.
auditor
Yeah.
position is out, or the function is out for bid. I think that's best practice, and it should be changed. It's suggested you change auditors every 3 years.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
So the audit letters or the letters requesting the bids have been sent to 5 directly. And it's posted on the website for anybody else that may be interested. Okay, so the total on the increases in the accounting department are summarized in all the, that's the total for the accounting is the increased labor prices. Okay, Board of, any other discussion with accounting?
I'm good.
Good.
I didn't get what you said the total increase was.
Okay, so the total increase for the accounting, the personnel is 10,572, and that's the total for the accounting total. The expenses are being level funded, so there's no change in the expenses for the accounting at this point, pending the request for the quote for the new audit team.
Thank you.
So that may change when we get the letters and the auditor is chosen.
Mhm.
Okay. We're on to Board of Assessors.
Is it just a percentage raise? Okay, just-
It looks that way.
Let's see, sorry, the assessors. If you look, in our books, there is an assessors section.
Oh, yeah.
You can see, I thought the percentages were in here. Yeah, they are. On page 2, on the assessors,
Okay,
book, you'll see that the department head, the base wages is the
3%.
is 3% going to the 61,893. So there are sections outlined and labeled in this book. So in the book, we have the omnibus budget. And so if we have any questions, we can go to the individual worksheets for each of the departments and look up there.
So basically, do we go to the 3% or 2.5%? What do we do? 3%?
Excuse me.
I'm figuring a step of 2 and a grid change of 1,
Okay,
and anyone that's not in there, I'm still sort of figuring 3%.
okay. Mhm.
And when you consider the cost of living is approaching 6,
Yeah,
3% is not keeping even, but I think it's the most we can afford.
Oh, boy.
Okay, and then this,
other sources, what's other sources, other services? What is that, other,
the-
what does that consist of? Accounting software, I was counting software, okay. I got it.
which one are you?
I was looking at one page, number 100.
Oh, okay. Under treasurer collector?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the Board of Assessors, I'm sorry, I thought we were Board of Assessors, so
We are,
those, the, 2023, the clothing allowance is going to both employees. And so that's the increase from 600 to 1,200. And the longevity stipends. Remaining the same.
I have clothing allowance at 600, right?
Clothing allowance is 600, but you've got two employees, and if you look at the department head, in 2022, there was nothing, but in 2023, there is 600.
Okay,
So, yeah.
yeah.
I believe clothing allowance comes under a union agreement.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the remainder of the water assessors expenses are
Up about 1,000 or just under.
600, yeah, so it's kind of like the expenses is 500 for the repair and maintenance of equipment, and $50 for the online property record card setup. And I think we may have asked this before, but I guess the question is, what equipment are they paying for and maintaining out of this?
I was given the same thought.
I just,
What is that anyway?
We'll find out.
yeah,
Some of that may actually be a big plotter printer.
okay.
Probably some ink for it too.
Mm,
Because that
That would be the
office supply is only $800. That's,
All 10,000. I know we were talking today about that plotter printer and
yeah.
Okay.
I've got one at work. It is ridiculously expensive.
Back in the day, they had one that was, it was $120 a cartridge, and there was 6 cartridges in the
Some of them run into the thousands now.
gold,
The older ones, yeah.
liquid gold.
And I'm aiming to bet we got an older plotter.
Hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, just and
So are we set with that?
see what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It is what it is here.
well, they talk about software, it's Patriot and S3.
Mhm. So, and I'm not seeing anything for Patriot Consulting for reval, so I'm assuming there's no
There's
reval
nothing in there.
being scheduled for. I guess that question looking forward is there going to be another revaluation coming up for
24.
24? Yeah, I don't.
When did we do our last revaluation? Do you know? Because I believe they revalue every 4 years.
Yeah, I'd like to know that too.
Hmm.
I'll be working.
Okay, any other questions from Board of Assessors?
No.
Sam or Andrea?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Keeping it moving, we'll try to quickly get to the treasurer collector piece. Right now for 2022, there's 64,438 with an increase to 79,331. But the note is because of the higher, it's currently at 79,000, so it's just an increase of 331 for next year.
It was 79?
I think we hired at 79,
Oh, okay.
but it's a partial year. And so we had it at 64 and it had to be increased to get
Okay.
the higher. So we did that, and so next year it's going to 79, 331, so.
Yeah.
That's increased the treasurer collectors staff to the two full-time equivalents. And so that increases 6,652.
And how, is that one person or two?
It says 2.0 FTE, so that's the full-time
Two
equivalent.
full-time
Oh, two,
employees.
I didn't see them.
And they were not previously?
No, they were.
They were,
Yeah.
okay.
Just so that probably we look at it and don't question that the employees are making more than the
Yeah,
treasurer.
okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
In the treasurer collector's office, one of the employees got a stipend for extra work. Now, is that stipend ending before the new budget, or is it included as well in the new budget?
It's ending in February, so it's ending, if it hasn't already, it's ending shortly.
Okay, and you're not going to allow for a similar funding in the future for next year?
I hope not. I mean, we did that because the treasurer collector left and somebody was
Oh,
stepping up.
yeah, I understand all that. I just was afraid something was overlooked.
No, so I'm hoping we're not gonna need a stipend for next year, because I'm hoping everybody will be here next year.
Okay, thank you.
I do see that they've got a couple extra step increases planned, so that needs to be sort of discussed.
Coming up,
It's part of the reason the treasurer collector wages show a big increase. That needs to be looked at.
okay.
The
Okay.
stamps went up, huh?
yeah. You should buy a lifetime supply, a lifetime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so in the expenses, the radar software is, I'm sure the software support and licensing,
And that was something Vadar gave us no choice on. It's-
right?
And we can't easily switch, so.
Yeah. The expenses are seem to be built into two contracts, so that nothing we can do with that. Everything else is level funded on the expenses.
Excuse me. That was an unrecognized.
So, any other questions in the treasurer collector? Here? Yeah. Okay.
No, no.
Monday,
No, that's okay.
then I'll just, since the next one is just a single line, we'll take that and then we'll release for us after that. So this is in the legal line for the town council professional services was 80,000. Originally, it was in, I believe, 63, and we upped it at the December town meeting to 80,000, and we're level funding that going forward. Question, Ross, how much of this is base for the contract and how much is, how many hours do we have for legal, based on the hourly charges?
There's Adam provided a bit of an explanation on the legal tab you can find.
Yeah.
So some of it is
Yeah.
roughly $39.60 a month that he charges for office hours.
Yeah.
And the rest is made up on services as needed. I think he
Mhm.
pointed out that we've had low years and the town's had high years.
Yeah, and last year was a high year, so.
I'd like to think that there's nothing drastic coming, but these are the
Yeah.
type of things you don't know until they show up.
Right.
Sorry about that. Okay.
I think having office hours is something that it's rather, I think, unique to Townsend, and I think it's very helpful. It
Okay.
allows anybody to go in and talk to them and sort of answer questions.
Right,
And
yeah.
it doesn't end up as all the extra charge built into his.
So he would be on site here or just,
He
really?
comes every, I think it's fourth Tuesday.
Oh, really?
5 to 7. And normally I require anybody who wants to see town council or labor council to go through the town administrator, get
Mhm.
approval first, just so we have some control.
Sure.
And some things maybe the town administrator can answer.
Hmm.
But in addition, he sets up office hours and the executive admin schedules them 5 to 7, I think, fourth Tuesday. And then talk to him.
Yeah, that's a good deal, actually.
Hmm.
Sometimes a way to head things off.
Yeah.
Right.
Sort of do.
I've been in several meetings where people have recommended using it, so it's, as you said, beneficial to the town, that they can win.
I'm going to speak myself, if you don't mind.
Yep. Thank you.
If there are other questions, just jot them down, send them to me, or contact the boards.
Pleasure
Okay.
meeting you, Ross.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
for helping out with this.
Let's see what we can't do, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say the next one, MIS, I'm probably gonna have a lot of questions with that, and again, makes probably more sense to talk about it next week when we
Okay.
talk about bringing the transfers.
Yeah, and I know that they're still working on their number, and
That's gonna be the big thing, is what equipment do we have, what's been updated, what's planned in the next year, so that, as we've discussed IT in the past, kind of like knowing the whole plan.
I have a number of questions on the legal budget too, because as much as I hate to say this, the way they've been using council and labor council
Don't worry about it.
and litigation is all extra. When you figure in the amount for his office hours, there isn't very much to handle those. I don't think there's enough money in the legal budget.
that's part of what Adam says in his write-up. You look at the tab. On the other hand.
Oh, is it in here? Okay.
It
Yeah.
depends
Mhm.
what happens. I'm trying very hard to be sure the town doesn't do something that generates a legal case, but there's no guarantees on that.
That's right.
No, but
Yeah.
we still have some pending too.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go, that kind of,
But Andrea, some of those are being handled by insurance counsel, so they don't show up in that line item.
Oh,
Insurance-
wonderful. That's good.
Not all of them.
Now the insurance will just go up.
Okay, good night.
Okay,
Thank you.
Rob.
Right.
Okay, so,
Andrea, do you want me to bring your book tonight or tomorrow?
Oh, bring it tomorrow. I'm not, it's cold outside.
Okay.
Was she gonna read it outside?
No, but I have to go to my mailbox and it's way down and over there. And I have to wade through the snow and put on my snow pants and my boots. It's just,
here
I'm
we
sorry.
go.
I'd rather just eat dinner and take a nap.
Okay.
Okay, so, just as we're here in the book, so we had the legal here,
Yeah,
and then there's the legal tab here,
and that's where his letter is.
and that's where the letter is.
Perfect, perfect.
So Ross has prepared quite a bit of backup information.
This has come a long way since I
It
was last
certainly
here.
has, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
great.
so we appreciate that. Now, we'll just keep on working our way down through the budget. Seems to be we'll continue with questions. We'll pick up with the IT or MIS, however
Right.
you want to refer to it.
So
Next
we're
week,
meeting next Tuesday, right?
next Tuesday,
Yeah.
we have the meeting booked.
Okay,
Um,
you have to do the thing with Kathy, though, posting.
I have to do, yep, I will redo it, and, as Ross has requested, I'll add the reserve
Yeah.
fund transfer into the agenda,
Yeah,
for that. And then I guess the last little piece of information to discuss is a month from now, on March 1st, the assessors team would like this time slot. We had been approved for it with TCAM on our hours. On the week of March 1st, and again, we've moved to Tuesday because Ross's hours are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the part-time. So, is there something we want to do that week? Do we want to have a week off and allow the assessors to work, or do we want to keep going through and ask them to?
When's that, the beginning of March? or
That's the
Yeah.
first
First
Tuesday in March. And
Can we
again,
see where we end up a week before that and
Um,
decide if?
or does it, I can request back on Thursday at 4 o'clock on that week, which would be the 3rd. That would help us prepare for Saturday, the 5th, if there's any
Oh.
outstanding questions.
Yeah, I think I can do that, yeah. My
Okay.
schedule's fairly flexible, unless I have a meeting.
Mhm.
California people don't like it. I'm not sure.
That's only 1 o'clock.
Oh, and they think nothing about
That's a long
7,
lunch.
it's only 3 here. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, you know what time it is here?
Yeah.
They understand me now, I guess.
Well, schedule it for 8 o'clock in the morning and do
do it how they like it.
Oh, I've done it,
Oh,
absolutely.
to Asia
Are we
Pacific region, so
we
a
are.
lot
Well,
of.
see, we have that
We are
too.
not off yet. I haven't taken
Okay.
permit. So, more than that, I guess, are we good, relinquishing our time on March 1st and request, and then I'll request TCAM and see if there's available for us
Okay.
Okay, no, don't forget town hall's not open.
on Friday
So
afternoon.
they have-
Yeah, I gotta have it right away. And again,
I know it is.
so so I will continue on that.
Excuse me, I asked
Yeah.
about that meeting, town hall not being open on Fridays. It's not open to the public. And if you wanted to
Mhm.
go in there and pay for a dog license, you couldn't do that on Friday afternoon. But if you wanted to contact town hall for FinCom business on Friday, you can. Because that's town business.
Right, I think there's a shut off, of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think they would like it to be in by noon, in any agendas to be in by noon.
Right, but just to tell you, since,
Mhm.
I was concerned that if we did have some business that came up that had to be taken care of on a Friday afternoon, that we couldn't do it, but yet we were part of the government, and that's what she explained to me. That if it was personal business, we couldn't do it, but if it was finance committee business, we could contact town hall.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and read, but I know, there was specific times to have agendas for posting for sure, in that email. So, I believe it's posted in the town clerk's area on the
Yes.
website. So we can get that. Okay, so that we've hit anything.
No.
Any new business?
Don?
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, before we get into new business, can I go back over the budget a few seconds? This has to do with, I forgot to August, what this recovery monies can be used for. And it looked to me way back up there in the Board of Selectmen, we're creating kinds of jobs that aren't necessary for a town this small. And I don't know how to, I have no real way to put,
Mhm.
two and two together to figure out what's happening. In the budget, those money's not there, but is that recovery money available for other things that we do need now?
I don't know where the list is, but there's a list of all the ARPA money.
They're divided in categories.
In the email that Ross sent two days ago, there was a list of capital planning for the water department. And in there, you'll see a lot of entries for water projects that are funded by ARPA. So there's infrastructure things. There are different parts of town business that can be charged to ARPA. Some work being done as a result of COVID was in there. So that all of that is listed, and the selectmen have been meeting on a regular basis to list all of the different pieces of it. Some of it can be allocated to private organizations. And so there is, if it's good for the people of the town, it's possible that the ARPA, and again, this is town ARPA money. Then there's state ARPA money. And you'll see that the state allocated, for instance, not less than 50,000 to help with the bandstand or gazebo on Town Common. So there's different places where the money is and different things. And so when you look at why the ARPA money can be used for the gazebo, one of the things is cultural improvement and support. So I'd have to go back and look at the actual text of the law and see, but there is a huge amount of area that you can use it to develop. You can institute, when I look at some of the things, institute health, I'm losing it. It's kind of like, I've seen some larger cities are setting up health maintenance so that their people come in and get free health care and evaluation. So it's trying to improve people's health, keep it going, improve cultural, so that you have a place to go, get out, and do those things. So it's pretty wide and varied what it can do. And so it has been reviewed at selectmen's meeting and with input from the town and townspeople, where they have it. I'd have to take a look and see where all of it's posted, but I believe it's all posted on the town website someplace.
The water department has a boatload of money though, don't they? They've always had it.
Well, the water department is getting low on money at the special town meeting, and so their free cash it's still sufficient to keep them going. But there was about 130,000 or 150,000 that was allocated to their projects because of the PFAS. There's a lot of activities that are going on, and they're taking those monies. In addition, there's a lot of ARPA money that's going to water department to continue projects that will continue to support the town. The cleaning of wells, the opening of wells.
What would we do without that?
Well,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? It's,
Be in trouble.
You know, and add to that, now you also have the infrastructure bill to pass. So there's $1 trillion for everybody to go out. Is that where the water plant, treatment plant money may come from? I don't know. It's kind of like, but those are questions that I've written down as we get to water department. What are all the pieces? Because that's going to be a water department. If we create the treatment plant, which we need for Harbor Trace, then there's going to be additional workers that are needed to support that. So it's kind of like along with the ongoing maintenance for the media, and I call it media because it's filters and things like that.
I was just always amazed at what they had in their account years ago. For
Right.
capital, it's just crazy.
Right. Yeah, and so when we get to the water and the capital, we'll see a lot of those things
Sure.
specifically that are covered. Sorry, any other questions, Sam? Did I hit enough?
That's fine. I just haven't figured out what these people are up here in the Board of Selectmen thing called an outreach coordinator and a human resource person. Those people didn't
Yeah.
exist in my century.
They,
It seems like we're trying to, hire a babysitter.
I
I
think a
don't-
human resource
I
person
don't
will
think
keep
it's
us out
that,
of
but when you
trouble.
look at the town administrator duties,
I think we should have had-
one of the many pieces
Mhm.
is personnel and HR. So by having a person that's there to help them, having been a supervisor and a manager at one point,
Right.
the personnel issues sometimes take more of your time than getting your real job done. So,
I know that one.
yeah,
Firsthand.
it's kind of like, so I can understand the need for help. But to your point, do we need the full-time person? It's kind of like, or is it a part-time position? Can we do a part-time position? Those are questions
Could we
going
do it
forward.
with a personnel board?
Right, yeah. Thank you.
I have,
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
Uh,
Andrea?
Some questions have arisen. And Sam obviously would like to see these job descriptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who's gonna go after those things? I'll call Dave and ask the questions that we had to get answers. Or you can, but it'd be bad if we all did. We'd bother
Right,
those
yeah.
people to death.
Yeah, so they are posted under the volunteering and jobs link. They have the details of the job descriptions listed in there.
Right, but with the other questions that go to departments like the assessors, who's to ask those questions? We have to either designate somebody to do it, or as we go along, maybe further into this, maybe not just now, so that we're not all calling the department heads and bothering them with the same question over and over again.
Understood. I thought from this meeting, it seemed like Russ was taking the actions to go back and get our answers.
Right, but
going-
he may not,
Yeah.
Ross may not ask the question the way we do.
Yeah, okay, so what we'll do going forward is in the notes section that we have in here, we'll capture and put an assigned person to it, so not everybody's doing it, but we'll have assigned people to it. So I do have a soft copy of this, so, and by soft copy, just one of the Excel files. I can take that and we can continue to make notes in there, and add the column, much like we did last year. With it, and I'll start sharing during the meeting, and we'll capture the notes in the file and have a record of it, of who will follow up and with the questions.
Maybe you should put just as like a placeholder on the agenda to discuss notes, so we can do it if there's something and not do it if there isn't anything.
Yeah.
But that way we won't miss it if there's something important and not be able to discuss it because of the open meeting law.
Right. Okay, I will add that in there, that was sort of in today's with the work session, discuss the schedule and trying to.
Right.
I wanted to set up, what the procedure is and what it is, so that we'll formalize that a bit, and moving forward, we'll capture the notes, post them, and have the follow-up that we visit on the next meeting. Yeah. Okay, we're at 5:31 p.m. Do we have a motion for Jeremy? Sorry, before I do that, any other questions out there?
Good for now.
Okay. And Andrea?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay,
I'm fine for now here.
okay, thank you. Yeah,
I'm fine.
okay.
There we go.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
At 5:31 PM. And this is roll call vote.
Geraldine Bezikas, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
With unanimous, Don Hayes, yes, unanimous, and we stand adjourned. Thank you all. and
Thank you.
the meeting